gentlemen, welcome to the first ever downloadable opinions sport podcast. I am your host, the villainous Adam Gayton, hosting this solo today. Yep, I am going to try to do a podcast on my own. There is nobody that seems to be willing to talk about sports with me, and that is a crying shame. But either way, I will bring you every little bit of coverage that I can. Been doing it on the Twitter account as much as I can, and now for the first ever podcast, got a few topics I want to get about. This is going to be a little shorter than our usual podcast. Again, I'm doing this on my own. I don't know if I can talk for 45 minutes on my own like we can with 2 or 3 people. But anyways, we'll get right down to it. We're going to talk a couple topics. We got the Toronto Marlies and the Norfolk Admirals, which I don't know if you guys are too big into the AHL or the American Hockey League. For those of you that don't know hockey very well, that is the NHL affiliate. That's the minor leagues. That's where all the developmental talent comes from. And this is now the Calder Cup final between Toronto and Norfolk. And to be honest, I don't think any Marlies fan really expects them to win. I mean, they're down 3-0 in the series now, so it's kind of like what the Kings and Devils are with right now. Even though the Devils won Game 4, we know that the Kings are pretty much guaranteed to win this. I mean, Norfolk won the last 29 games of the regular season before the playoffs. 29 games. Jesus Christ. It sounds like something that would happen in Toronto, except to be the other way around. 29 straight losses for the Maple Leafs, but then again. But the third game was in Toronto last night, and I don't know if I've ever seen a game and in such a heartbreaking way. I mean, all finals losses, and especially in OT, are heartbreakers because, I mean, you want to win. You want to win the cup. That's the whole point. But this goes beyond heartbreaking. For those of you that haven't seen the clip or haven't heard about it, it was a 0-0 tie going into overtime, and both teams had busted their asses, and especially for Toronto, Ben Scrivens, the goaltender, has been playing out of his skin in this series. Even though they're down 3-0 now, he has been the catalyst that has kept at least the Marlies in each game. And it was just such a heartbreaker. I can't remember what the guy's name. I think Costco was his last name. I can't remember the full name because I'm not a big Norfolk guy, obviously, which is Tampa Bay's affiliate, by the way, for those who don't know. He goes to clear the puck down the ice, and natural goalie reaction to that is you go behind the net prepared to play it. Well, as it got down the boards, it hit one of the stanchions and, quite simply put, went in the net. And I mean, we see this happen at least like once a season. There's usually that fluke, goal that either hits the stanchion or off the glass or something, but not in an overtime in a cup final. Like that goes beyond the course of insane. I mean, think about it. I don't even know if this has happened in playoff overtimes, let alone in a final. This is insane. And I mean, the reaction, I think it was Mikus that after the goal, like, he just bashed his stick against the net. He was so frustrated. And I don't blame him. Like, you guys have busted your ass for 60 minutes, and all of a sudden in OT, the series is pretty much done now by something that shouldn't have even counted, actually, because the play was even a delayed offside. They should have taken the goal back. And the referees failed at that. And Dallas Eakins himself said over Twitter later today that, it's the minor leagues. There's a lot of developmental talent, including players, including coaches, and even in referees. We all make mistakes. It's time to move on, which is good on him. But I mean, either way, like, that is a very, very easy call to make. Goals do not count on delayed offsides. You need to be able to call that. I know the entire Norfolk bench went nuts and was celebrating on the ice, but you have to stop it and discount the goal. You can't. You have to call that in any sport, in any league. You have to call it. That is a basic rule. But there's not much you can do now. It's a day now since. It's not like they can reverse it. They're down 3-0 in the series now, so it's pretty much a guarantee the Marlies are not going to go on. Like I said, nobody really expected it. Like I said, Norfolk has won 29 straight games going into the playoffs. And I mean, nobody really expected anybody to beat them, really. Like, it's not a shocker that they're pretty much in line to win the cup. But it's heartbreaking. I mean, right after the game too, there were 2 clips that I heard. One was from Dallas Eakins again, and he said, the quote was, I would rather have a pair of steel toe boots hitting him in the nether regions than to lose like that. And I don't know if I want to get kicked in the nuts with the steel toe boots, but And Ben Scrivens was saying the kind of the exact same thing. He was just it's a bounce. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. You got to move on. But deep down that they are that's it. Like there's no way even for game 4. I don't know if they're going to have the desire to even want to play this. It might be a blowout for game 4. I even though it's in Toronto, it doesn't seem like after a goal like that you have nearly the desire and the confidence to really fight for this. Because after a goal like that, I mean, you simply think that there's nothing, everything's against you. There's nothing going your way. But I mean, game 4 is tomorrow night in Toronto at the Ricoh Coliseum. I mean, if it's the last game, either way, I'm more than happy. I mean, at this point, we're the second best team in the AHL, which means we have the second best minor league affiliate and the best guys ready. And there are a lot of guys on that roster right now that could be coming up next year. Like I said, Ben Scrivens, he's one of the best goalies in the AHL this year. Joel Colborn's already had a lot of time. Jake Gardner was down there for the playoffs. He's already had a lot of time on the Maple Leafs. Nazem Kadri. There's a lot of guys that could be coming up. And I mean, especially with all the other things that are going on, we might even, and this is a good segue, we might even get a really good draft pick because apparently sources have been saying, including scouts and other owners alike, that the Maple Leafs are planning on trading up to try to get that number 1 pick and get Nail Yakupov. My thoughts on this are kind of simple. I'm not really sure where Brian Burke thinks he's going to get a good trade to get that pick. Even though I said that they have the second best team in terms of minor league players ready to come up, I don't think that, especially if I was Steve Tambellini, I would not want to trade that pick no matter what the hell they gave me. Like, they'd have to give me somebody established. And there's really nobody on the Maple Leafs that's established. I mean, the closest thing you can get is Phil Kessel, but he still has, I don't think he has the reputation yet to really work a trade like that. And I mean, Edmonton really doesn't need scoring right now. They got Taylor Hall, they got Jordan Eberle, they got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. They don't need offense. They need defense. And really, the only defenseman that we could possibly give that's worth any value is Jake Gardner. And quite frankly, if Brian Burke trades Jake Gardner, he might as well kiss his ass goodbye, because as far as I'm concerned, he's like the Brett Laurie of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. The fans love Gardner. They don't want him gone. I don't want him gone. So I don't know where he thinks he's going to be able to get this number 1 pick. I think it'd even be nice if he can get up a couple spots and maybe get Alex Galchenyuk, which isn't such a bad pick either. I mean, he played with Yakupov, so you're getting guys that are good. I mean, he had his injury-filled season this year, but he has the numbers to back it up otherwise. And I guess it's hard to believe they'll get either 1 or 2, because like I said, I don't see Edmonton trading this pick. And do you really think the Montreal Canadiens are going to pick the number 2 overall pick to the Toronto Maple Leafs? It's bad enough that they've already had to go through the whole shit with the coaches. How do you think the Montreal fans would flip out if they traded their number 2 pick to the Leafs? If that happens, I almost want to guarantee you that there won't even be a Montreal by the end of that night. It's crazy that people think that the Maple Leafs can even get close to this pick. I don't even think they can get 3rd, because they just don't have anything. They don't have established players, and they don't have minor league players that I think anybody wants to take a chance on, except for Jake Gardner, who none of us want gone. I mean, you're not going to trade Dion Phaneuf. You're not going to get rid of other guys like Mike Komisarek or Jeff Finger, who I'm not even sure is under contract next year, but, I haven't looked too far into it. But I just don't see how they can get that done. I mean, if they could get close, I think we'd be happy about it, because we do need some more young talent. And the fact that we got some coming up, it'd be nice to keep it stored and have a constant running line of talent, instead of just having, 1 or 2 years where we're going to have a lot of guys come up and then our team shit for the next 5 years because we have no draft picks. I mean, then again, it's still possible. You look at a team like Detroit, they're still playing really well. And most of their best guys were not first rounders. They were 5th and 7th and 4th and 3rd rounders. Like, they're making good picks all over the board. Quite frankly, like, I'm almost afraid of our number 1 pick anyway, or our first round pick, I should say, not number 1, because it seems like anybody we pick with the number 1 pick doesn't seem to turn out that great. I mean, Luke Shen hasn't been perfect. I mean, Nazem Kadri, we've had to send up and down because he just struggles. And think the last, like, really, the only other first round pick I can think of is Yuri Tolusti, and I'm sure none of you know who even knew the hell that is. So it shows you how well we're picking it in the first round. So I don't know. I don't see them being able to get even close to the first round. If they can get a third pick, that's awesome. I'll take that. But considering that I don't think Edmonton should even think about trading that pick, and Montreal certainly won't. So I don't see that being a viable option. But getting away from hockey, it's time for me to probably make my lock pick because Game 7 between the Heat and the Celtics will be coming up. And I should probably come out right away and say that I'm not a LeBron James fan, but it's not because of him leaving Cleveland. I think I just hate people just put up on a pedestal and say that they are the best. I can't stand that. It's the same reason I can't stand Sidney Crosby. It's the same reason I can't stand the Yankees. It's the same reason why back in the F1 days a few years back when Michael Schumacher was rocking, I couldn't stand that either. I don't like people who are put at the top or stay at the top. I like variety. So when you get a guy like LeBron come out and people are just praising him left and right, and he doesn't even have championship rings to back it up. I hate him even more because of that. The people put him on this pedestal like he's the best player in the game, and he has nothing to show for it. He has a couple MVPs, but that really, like, there are a lot of guys that you could argue that could have had that same spot the same year. So, that being said, with this Game 7 coming up, I think it's a lock that Miami's going to win this and win the series because, quite frankly, I don't want him winning. And if I know any better, if I don't want something to happen, it's going to happen. It's like that all the time. And especially after Game 6 last night, where LeBron just dominated, I just don't think Boston can come back through this, especially in front of a Miami crowd now, because they're going to be jacked up. I guess that sets up a really good series, though, when you think about it. You've got LeBron and the Miami Heat, the team that was supposed to win last year and are supposed to be this new dynasty coming up, facing Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the up-and-comers. I don't think anybody thought was going to make it this year. I thought that, probably along with a bunch of other people, that they were probably a year or two out before they really started coming in. We all thought the Spurs were going to be going to the finals without a doubt. Like, they were owning teams. And then all of a sudden, after a 2-0 lead, they blew it. The Thunder came back and won 4 straight and kicked the crap out of them. And not to say that either team wasn't playing very well. I mean, both teams played a great series. It's just that I think the coaching on Oklahoma City got better. They adjusted to what the Spurs were doing. And Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were just playing out of their skin. I don't think there was anything that this older Spurs team could have done. So I guess a Thunder Heat series would be pretty good. I mean, it's obviously going to be a good series, but from a fan standpoint, I just don't want the Heat to win. I really can't wait if the Celtics do win Game 7 just to see all the writing and all the radio and all the TV scrutiny of him about how now it's 2 years straight that this team has not been able to do it. And not only have they not done it last year, but now they don't even make it to the finals this year. I would love that. I mean, I don't mean to say that, like a guy like Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh don't deserve it, but I just don't feel like LeBron really deserves one. I mean, I think maybe a couple years down the road, I won't care so much, but because the way that he acted against Cleveland is still stuck in my mind, and I just have that, oh man, he's such an asshole attitude towards it. Really, I think probably in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years, I'd probably, be over it. But because it's still fresh in my mind, because they still have this arrogance to them, I think, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see them hoisting the trophy. I really don't. But if they do, it's not like I'm going to sit there and say that they didn't earn it. I mean, they're one of the better teams in the NBA. I can't argue against it. I still think that had we had a healthy Chicago Bulls team, we might not even be talking about the Heat at this point because they might already be gone. But either way, Game 7 will be up, I think, tomorrow night. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. I'm not that big a basketball fan, so I won't watch it, but I always do keep up with the scores. If they win, awesome. If the Celtics win, awesome. To me, either series is great. And either outcome is going to be great for the media, because in one aspect, it's going to be the final that I think everybody really wants to see. But if it's the other way around, it's going to be the scrutiny that all the haters really want to see. And I think that'll be great either way. And last but not least, speaking of greatness, we already had the first day of the Euro 2012 soccer tournament. So for those of you that didn't keep up with it, Poland and Greece played first. They tied 1-1, and then Russia played the Czech Republic, won 4-1. So I might be a little biased in my predictions already, but I'm going to at least give all my group predictions for who's going to make it to the quarterfinals. So remember, it's a group. There are 4 groups with 4 teams in it. The top 2 teams will win. I'll give you my first and second place, and I'll give you a quick reason for most of them, depending on how you might not agree with what I say. So first off, for Group A, I do think Russia will win, not just because they've already won the first game, but Russia has pretty much been the dark horse for this whole tournament. A lot of people are even picking them to make the finals this year, even with teams like, Germany, Spain, Netherlands. There's a lot of teams that could really get up there, but a lot of people are thinking that these guys can do it. Second place, I do pick Poland because I think the home ice, or not home ice advantage, the home field advantage would work for them. And they show pretty good against Greece. I don't think Greece is going to have it in them. And I'm not sure. I don't think the Czechs do either. Poland looks like, especially like they've improved their roster because they really want to perform this year. And Russia with their win already, it seems pretty obvious that they'll probably at least make it to the top 2. They kicked the crap out of the Czechs already, 4-1. Like that's a pretty high score for a soccer game alone. So, for Group B, this one was a no-brainer to me. It's Germany and the Netherlands. Especially with the year Portugal had the World Cup, they played really poorly. And Denmark was screwed from the beginning. That's the group of death right there. There's no way. If Denmark even walks out with a win, that'll be pretty awesome. But I'm sure they'll end up with a 1-2 record, an 0-1-2 record because of draws and losses. But yeah, no, I think Germany will come out on top. I think they have just a little more than the Netherlands do. Netherlands did make it to the finals in the World Cup, but I think Germany probably should have been there. But, I think this is the year that they come out. I think they're going to win it, to be honest. But, for the tournament itself, I think Germany will pop up out first in Group B. So we'll look forward to that. Group C, again, not really a no-brainer with first place Spain, the defending champions, looking to be the first team ever to repeat as champions in the Euro tournament. Nobody's ever done that. So I expect them to come out first. Now, I got a bit of an interesting pick for second. I think Ireland is going to make second. And I don't really have a reason for saying why I think it is, but more of a personal reason to it. I think because of how they were screwed out of the World Cup because of the handball with France, they're coming into this tournament with a lot of angst. Like they need to prove their point. I think they're going to come out swinging. I think they face Croatia first. Yes, they do. And on the 10th of June, they face Croatia in the first match. I think these guys are going to come out guns a-blazing and wanting to prove a point that they should have been in the World Cup this year. So I'll look forward to that as well. And last but not least, we have Group D, which, again, I'm going to have an interesting pick. I'm going to pick France at 1, even though they had a really terrible and controversial World Cup. And I'm picking Sweden as number 2. The reason for that is, quite frankly, I don't think Ukraine's going to be able to hold things up because even though they're the host, I don't think they got the players that they're going to need for it. And England is really injury-ridden. I don't think they have the guys to really pull this off. Even with Wayne Rooney, I think he's playing after that. But Lampard's out. There's a lot. They got a lot of key guys out, and that's going to be a real tough challenge for them. So I think it'll probably be close between Sweden and England. I think Sweden will probably be up by like 1 point. They'll probably have 4 points to England's 3 or something like that. So, if you guys think I'm wrong or if I'm right or whatever. But so I'll recap that. Group A, Russia and Poland. Group B, Germany and the Netherlands. Group C, Spain and Ireland. And Group D, France and Sweden. Who do I think is going to make the finals? I would probably think you're going to see a Germany-Spain final. And like I said, I think Germany's going to come out. And it's not just because, no team's ever successfully defended the Euro Championship. I'm not trying to give that to Spain. I think Germany has always been that team that's always been really just waiting for that opportunity, that's been knocking on the door, and they're ready to go. I think this is the year that they finally pull it together. And if not, there's always the World Cup coming up in 2 years. So, these guys are going to be consistently a great team. And I mean, I think Spain's also missing a couple of key guys too. So, I mean, that really gives Germany an edge right now. Even and same with the Netherlands too. I mean, if Netherlands can repeat and get to the finals again, I think they got a great chance as well. But I think Germany is going to be the ones to make it this year. So I'm going to look forward to that. I'm not a big soccer guy. I will keep up with it, like I said, with the NBA final or not the NBA conference finals. There we go. I'm really lost here already. That's what I get for being on my own. I'm thinking too hard about all this, you know. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to go. So I look forward to that. And with that, I think, yeah, that is all I got on the board today. So that's going to do it for the first episode in our first podcast of Sports Downloadable Opinions. So thank you so much for listening. Hopefully I'll actually get somebody else to talk to at some point, but if not, I'll be glad to keep hosting for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you down the road.